Hi, and welcome to the digital job site, where the boards are straight, the weather's great, and there really is a board stretcher. In this tutorial, I'm going to cover drawing a plot plan, which is what this drawing represents. And I went to the courthouse and got a plat drawing of a cul-de-sac lot, so to better show how the features of SketchUp can generate this. If it was just a rectangular lot, it wouldn't be much difficulty to locate a building, but when you start working with a radius, with the cul-de-sac in this area and these various angle lines on a pie-shaped lot, positioning a house footprint, which is what this represents, becomes a little more of an issue. This other line here represents a 25-foot setback requirement from the cul-de-sac and from a road that runs along this side of the lot. So those can be easily incorporated into any shape of a lot, which this shows. So on this tutorial, if you want more background information, I'll suggest you go to the digital job site blog at finehomebuilding.com, and that will show the actual plat drawing. I'm taking this off of it. It gives the radius for the cul-de-sac and the bearing of these different lines. It'll give you a better understanding of how I came up with the numbers to create this. You'll see the process here, and whatever drawing you have, you'll be able to pretty much duplicate the process and come up with your own plan. And then I'll also have a link on that digital job site post to this model, which will also be available in the component warehouse, which is under the windows and components. You could search out this particular model and have it to work with, if that would be a help in learning the process. So to get started on this, when I do the drawing, I'll start at this corner here, work around the perimeter in this direction, and then the last thing I'll put in is this radius for the cul-de-sac. So you'll kind of see what's going on when I use this plug-in. I think I forgot to mention that under the draw I've got a plugin called the survey tool, which I'll use for this. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the plugins, which I wasn't before doing this tutorial, there'll be a link to that on the digital job site blog post as well. Some of you may already have that tool, and this will make better sense. Anyways, to get started, I'm going to select this geometry and just move it out of the way, and then right click and hide it so it doesn't interfere with our work. When we use the survey tool, that Ruby plugin, it hides under the tools there. You come up with this little dialog box, and when I enter values, it starts at the point of origination and then follows around. So with that background information, I'm just going to read off my plat drawing here this information, and the first leg of this lot is 272.92 feet. Going to make sure you add the feet specification there, and we're going north 89. I can just tab through this 07, 02, and then we end up going west. When I enter that, it puts that line in. As I said, it starts from the bearing point in this particular line. We'll go around. I found that if I close this dialog box, SketchUp and this plugin will group this geometry, and then if I open the dialog box up again, it'll start back at the origination point and go from there. It's a little cumbersome. I wish I could just click the end of this line and begin where I left off, but once this dialog box closes, it starts back at the point of origin. So I'm going to keep this going and work around it that way. But if you end up like I did the first time using this, I closed this dialog box, you can just select the new lines and paste them onto the end, and you'll end up with your perimeter just the same. So anyways, I'll go to the next leg here, which is 225.68 feet. And we're going to go north 37, tab 36, tab 19. And and then east. Select OK. You can see it's creating that line. The next leg we've got, it's a short one, which is 37.89 feet. And we're going, in this case, south 86, 32, 0, east. Puts that little leg on there. You can see this process is pretty simple. Whatever lot you come up with, you can figure out the starting point that makes the most sense to begin from. And it makes the process a little smoother, but there are workarounds if you get in a pickle with this. Our next leg is 23.45 feet. If you press tab there, it skips this dialog box, which is a little annoying. But anyway, so that's north. And we go 3, 12, 37, east again. Puts our little leg on it. You can see how this is recreating the drawing I started off with. I've got another leg here that's 3.69 feet. This is north. Oops, I started that off wrong. I'm going to go 86, 37. That's what we need. That's east. And there again, if you go to the digital job site blog at findhomebuilding.com, you'll see the plat drawing that contains all this information I'm entering in these dialog boxes. So our last distance here is 182.49 feet south. There we go, 26. Tab 03. Tab 13. Oops, 13. And this is east. All right, so you can see the shape of the plot we started off with. I'm just going to shut that down. And I have to hit my space bar to get back to the arrow key. I select this, you can see now that it's made this a group. It's grouped that geometry, so I'm going to select it, right click, explode that group, so now we just have lines to work with. Alright, so the last piece of information we need to close this up is going to be the 60-foot radius. And I'm just going to create a circle out here, select it, right click it, go to the entity info and make sure there's a lot of faces in here. I'm going to go to 48 so it's a little smoother circle. And then I'll just enter the radius as 60 feet. That gives us a circle. And then to properly position that, I'm just going to group this thing. And then hopefully I can move it with a point in the center. It's going to take me a second to get the center of this, I think. There's the center of the group. So I'm just going to stick this circle right on the end of that line. And I'll press the Control key, take another circle from the center, paste it over here on the end of that line. And now the intersection of those two circles, if I press the Control key again and move a circle to the intersection of those other circles, we've got a bunch of lines coming together here, so I'm going to have to pick the right spot by zooming way in and place it right at the intersection. So we've got 3 circles. And it's simple enough to delete 2 of these circles that were just guidelines for us. This is the circle we want to end up with, and all we want is this one line here, so I can double click that. Yep. It's going to take a second. Actually, I'm going to back out. I'm going to explode this. There we go. And now I can invert this selection, get rid of this little, or deselect this little piece of arc, and delete. And we have a 60-foot radius arc built into our drawing. And for some reason this didn't close up. I might have missed a point there. Oh no, there we go. So we've got this area shown, that's the perimeter of the lot we ended up with. If we get our hidden geometry back and unhide this, you can see that this lot, oops, that's kind of made a mess there, didn't I? I'm going to copy that. Just move a copy it over to here. So you can see how I ended up with the same lot shape and size as I I showed at the beginning of this tutorial. So I'm just going to put that back, hide this stuff again. And then pause the video here. I'll get back into a few more things, actually placing a plot plan on this. And I come back to the second video. Make sure you search this out on YouTube or go to the blog post on Find Home Building, where you can get the additional information and then the follow-up video that shows the rest of the information for this tutorial.